Jennifer O'Brien's routine visit to her parents' house in Park Hill, Calgary, Canada, takes a horrifying turn. As she enters the house, she is met with a chilling scene: an open front door, pools of blood, and an absence of her family. Adding to the horror, she discovers a child's blood-stained handprint on the wall. Park Hill, known for its serene surroundings and community charm, is a picturesque neighborhood, with tree-lined streets and well-maintained residences. It offers a welcoming atmosphere and convenient amenities, making it an ideal location for families like the Lickness family. Alvin Lickness, a beloved grandfather and father, had recently retired and was excited about the new chapter in his life. Kathy, his wife, was not only a devoted spouse, but also a close friend to their daughter. Her nurturing and caring nature created a loving home for the family. After living in Park Hill for many years, Alvin and Kathy decided to downsize and organized an estate sale before moving to their new home in Edmonton. Amidst the busyness of the sale, they found solace in the presence of their daughter, Jennifer, and her sons, including the cheerful Nathan. Nathan, a 5-year-old with tousled blonde hair, brought immense joy to the family with his love for superhero costumes and lively spirit. Nathan's amiable nature made him an intrepid explorer, forging connections and spreading joy wherever he ventured. While the brothers and their mother were spending time at their grandparents' house, as the day transitioned into night, Jennifer decided to stay overnight. However, Nathan's younger brother, Max, struggled to settle in an unfamiliar bed. Jennifer made the choice to take Max back home, leaving Nathan to sleep beside her mother. The plan was to retrieve him the following morning. On June 30th, 2014, Jennifer arrived at her parents' residence to pick up Nathan, only to be confronted with a chilling sight: the front door wide open and a haunting scent of death lingering in the air. As she entered, a distressing scene unfolded before her eyes, with pools of blood and the shocking absence of her parents and son. In a state of panic, she immediately contacted her husband, frantically explaining that her family had been murdered and their bodies taken. Overwhelmed with hysteria, she then dialed the police. Fearing that someone might still be inside, Jennifer hurried to her car and secured all the doors. The police promptly arrived, swiftly entering the horrifying scene. They conducted an exhaustive search throughout the house, yet no bodies were found. Subsequently, an Amber Alert was issued, initiating a thorough search for the trio. Law enforcement began by gathering DNA samples from both the Lickness and O'Brien residences. Furthermore, they expressed their intention to interview approximately 200 individuals who had attended the estate sale. During the meticulous search for forensic evidence within the house, investigators made a significant breakthrough: the discovery of a tooth that potentially belonged to Alvin Lickness. Subsequent DNA analysis of the blood found at the residence, including on a set of 45-pound dumbbells in the garage, confirmed a match with the genetic material of the 3 missing individuals. The grandparents and young Nathan were nowhere to be found. Despite the exhaustive investigation, no trace of DNA or fingerprints belonging to a potential perpetrator was found at the crime scene. The disappearance quickly gained national attention, partly due to the heartfelt public appeal made by Jennifer and Rod O'Brien on Tuesday, July 2nd, 2014. For several weeks, the police held on to hope, hoping to find the missing individuals alive, speculating that the injuries sustained in the house may not have been fatal. However, despite an extensive search during that time, no bodies were discovered. It became increasingly clear that this was not a case of abduction, but rather a more sinister scenario, a triple murder with a dangerous killer still on the loose. Shortly after the public appeal, the police department was inundated with over 1,300 tips, overwhelming their computer system. Investigators meticulously reviewed extensive surveillance footage and uncovered a suspicious pattern. A vehicle was repeatedly seen circling the area on the night of the disappearance. Video footage captured an individual lurking outside the Leakness residence, and in the early hours of June, a pickup truck was spotted heading north, with a noticeable white object in its truck bed. Law enforcement distributed a flyer featuring a photo of the F-150 Ford pickup truck seen on the Grandparents' Street that fateful night. Soon after, a woman came forward and identified the truck. Patty Garland was certain that she had seen that exact F-150 Ford pickup truck before. A remarkably similar one had been parked outside her parents' house when she visited the day before, having traveled from Evansburg, Alberta, accompanied by her common-law partner, Alan Leakness, whose parents and nephew were now missing. The owner of the truck turned out to be Patty's brother, Douglas Garland, who had a history of previous convictions and had been arrested on his farm in 1992 for operating a meth lab. Following his apprehension, he fled to British Columbia and adopted the identity of a deceased Alberta teenager. Living under this false identity, he resided there for 7 years, even receiving unemployment benefits. In 2000, he was captured by authorities, resulting in a 6-month sentence for drug trafficking and identity theft. Psychologists attributed his actions to mental illness, classifying him as essentially non-violent. Fast forward to July 2014, Douglas Garland was detained by authorities during a routine traffic stop, leading to his custody for interrogation. An extensive search of Garland's property was immediately authorized while he was being questioned, due to concerns that the Leakness and Nathan might still be alive and in imminent danger. The search was conducted without a warrant, justified by urgent circumstances. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police Emergency Response Team, treating the situation as a potential rescue operation, was the first to arrive on the scene in an armored vehicle. However, no individuals were found on the premises. Garland was granted bail under strict conditions at the police station, with explicit instructions prohibiting his return to the farm. Simultaneously, law enforcement obtained a warrant to thoroughly search the vast property. In the basement, they discovered books and manuals containing disturbing content. Further searches revealed boxes filled with handcuffs, some designed for children. Additional findings included hacksaw blades, leather straps, bone saws, knives, firearms, and a straitjacket. Authorities also came across a computer hard drive and a still smoldering burn barrel on the property. However, no bodies were found. Garland violated the bail conditions by returning to his home, unaware that Calgary police were monitoring him. It was suspected that he was attempting to dispose of more evidence. His arrest occurred as he moved through a dense forest, with a police helicopter circling above. In spite of the lack of discovered bodies, Douglas Garland was confronted with a multitude of charges, which included 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of second-degree murder, supported by a staggering 1,400 pieces of the most gruesome evidence imaginable. One eerie clue that stood out among the disturbing evidence was the smoldering burn barrel that was initially noticed during the first search of the farm. Investigators opted to conduct a more thorough examination. While sifting through the ashes, they stumbled upon a shocking discovery: a baby tooth, burnt flesh, and numerous bone fragments in the embers of the burning barrel. Further investigations unveiled that Douglas Garland had a complex and intertwined history with Alvin and Kathy Lickness that spanned several years. Patty Garland, the sister who reported the truck, happened to be married to Lickness's son. A significant detail that caught the investigators' attention was Alvin Lickness's previous employment of Douglas Garland years ago. When Alvin was in search of a working partner, Patty's husband had recommended Douglas as a potential candidate. Garland, possessing some education and practical skills, collaborated with Alvin on a pump invention. However, the project failed to materialize, leading to Alvin's decision to terminate Garland's employment. This dismissal fueled Garland's deep-seated resentment, which eventually escalated into a bitterness that appeared to culminate in a heinous act of murder. Garland pleaded not guilty to the 3 murder charges, initiating a sensational 5-week trial that gripped the nation. The day before their disappearance, Alvin and Kathy were hosting an estate sale as part of their downsizing plans. It was on this day that Garland put his sinister plan into action. In the early hours of the morning, Garland broke into the Lickness residence by drilling a hole into the locks, allowing the door to open easily. While the family was asleep, he entered the grandparents' room, where he found Alvin sleeping. He proceeded to strike him multiple times before moving on to the spare bedroom. A police sergeant provided testimony that DNA from Nathan and his grandmother was discovered in the spare room of the residence. Due to the significant blood saturation on the bed, it was suggested that Kathy likely experienced a blunt impact, although the exact cause could not be definitively determined. In regards to Nathan, the officer could only confirm the presence of a bloodletting injury. Despite the presence of blood, forensic experts believed that the family was still alive when Garland removed them from the home and placed them in the truck. Surprisingly, Garland did not leave any DNA traces behind. It was revealed that Garland had been researching methods to avoid leaving DNA evidence. Subsequently, he brought the family to the Airdrie residence where tragic events unfolded. During the trial, a forensic lab expert testified that DNA matching Kathy Lickness was found on a meat hook at the location. DNA belonging to Alvin Lickness and Nathan O'Brien was identified on a hacksaw. Genetic material from all 3 victims was discovered on a pair of rubber boots outside one of the outbuildings on the Garland farm. Furthermore, a bloodied light switch inside the building matched the DNA profiles of both Lickness family members. Constable Doug Garland, a forensic computer expert, testified about his discovery of various documents related to violent acts. Among his findings were videos, including one focusing on the disturbing fetish of adult baby diapering. He also uncovered folders with names like Gore, containing 87 photos of deceased or dismembered individuals. Garland found documents discussing DNA removal techniques, emotionless killing, and an autopsy manual. Importantly, evidence was presented that Garland had been researching methods to pick locks on doors, similar to the tampered lock found at the Lickness family home. Additionally, deleted files on the hard drive contained photos of Kathy Lickness and her husband. During the trial, Douglas Garland's mother provided testimony against him, recounting an incident where she mentioned the Lickness family's disappearance after watching TV. In response, her son expressed his unwillingness to discuss the matter. Additionally, his sister Patty testified that she had her son photograph the pickup truck and sent the pictures to Alan Lickness, who then forwarded them to the Calgary police. Towards the end of the trial on Monday, February 6th, the Crown presented a crucial piece of evidence that they stumbled upon by sheer chance. At 9:23 a.m. on July 1st, 2014, a small aircraft from an aerial surveying company was conducting mapping activities over Airdrie, capturing photos every 3 seconds. In an astonishing twist of fate, 2 of these photos were introduced as evidence during the trial, solidifying the case against Douglas Garland. The images depicted 3 lifeless bodies lying face down near 3 sheds south of the main house. 2 of the bodies were clearly adults, partially clothed with white fabric wrapped around their waists. One was estimated to be around 6 feet 2 inches tall, while the other measured approximately 5 feet 5 inches. The prosecution suggested that the bodies may have been decapitated. The third body was much smaller, possibly aged between 2 to 4 years old, and appeared to be curled up on its side. The pilot who operated the plane testified that when he flew over the farm again 26 hours later, subsequent photos revealed the absence of the bodies. In this tragic case, the silence of the deceased resonates profoundly. No complete remains were left behind, only tiny fragments. The only evidence confirming their existence on this earth was buried within the ashes lingering inside the burn barrel. In that particular location, investigators made a chilling discovery: a solitary piece of flesh that could potentially be linked to Alvin Lickness. Among the remains were bone fragments that indicated the presence of a 5-year-old boy. It seems that the perpetrator, after dismembering the bodies, proceeded to incinerate them, a grim and haunting process reminiscent of cremation. Douglas Garland, the individual convicted of killing Nathan O'Brien and his grandparents, Alvin and Kathy Lickness, received the harshest possible sentence: 3 consecutive 25-year terms with no chance of parole for 75 years. The impact of the harrowing events that unfolded in the Lickness O'Brien case was profound, not only on the families directly affected, but also on the community at large. The loss of Alvin, Kathy, and young Nathan O'Brien left an immeasurable void. The aftermath of such a tragedy reverberates not only within the confines of the courtroom, but also within the hearts of those who knew and loved them. In the face of unimaginable grief, Nathan O'Brien's parents, Rod and Jennifer, managed to find a way to channel their pain into something positive. They established the Nathan O'Brien Children's Foundation, a beacon of hope committed to making a difference in the lives of underprivileged children. Privately funded and driven by the memory of Nathan O'Brien, the foundation extends a helping hand to various children's charities. Their mission is crystal clear: to honor Nathan's legacy of compassion and kindness by providing opportunities for children to embrace hope and pursue their dreams. For Rod and Jennifer O'Brien, preserving Nathan's spirit and keeping his memory alive is of utmost importance. The foundation collaborates with other dedicated charities, forming a community that strives to create a positive impact on the world.